Introducing herself as Megal Eggleston, she returned to Toronto to film the second season of Suits. Regularly, Trevor arrived from Los Angeles to work from her home. The struggling producer would have walked the earth to make their marriage work, according to Pretty. Trevor did not notice that his wife, free from the constraints of her past in Los Angeles, avoided the daily compromises of marriage. Liberated by her financial security, Megan began to identify with her character Rachel Zane. Wearing Tom Ford pencil skirts, speaking about contracts and clients, she was becoming like Zane, an empowered, sassy, professional woman. Inevitably, her relationship with Trevor began to change. Toronto is not a large community. Unlike Los Angeles, Megan was a noticed fish in a small pond. For the first time, she had status. She began to make new friends. One was Jessica Mulroney, an aspiring fashion stylist whom she met in a fitness studio. Jessica's husband, Ben Mulroney, was not only famous as a TV host, but as the son of the former Canadian Prime Minister Brian Mulroney, a pillar of Canada's establishment. Naturally, Jessica was also a friend of Sophie Gregoire Trudeau, the wife of Justin Trudeau, whose father, Pierre, had been Canada's Prime Minister for 4 years. As a leading parliamentary member of Canada's Liberal Party, Justin was tipped to become Prime Minister. Added to that, there was Marcus Anderson, a Canadian businessman who had just returned from London to open a Toronto branch of Soho House, a members' club for the city's socially ambitious fashionistas. The combination of life on the film set, occasional recognition on the street in Toronto, and her new social life with Canada's dynastic families changed Megan. She was mixing with an elite. Compared to her financially strapped struggle in Los Angeles and a loudmouth husband unable to deliver fame, her new life in Toronto was what she had always dreamed of. Money was the decisive influence. With a growing taste for luxury, the finest clothes and jewelry, and the promise of a glittering presence on the red carpet, celebrity was within reach. Absent from Trevor, she promoted her importance through Instagram, launching a new account on 24th May 2012. She introduced herself with images of Forbes magazine, plus Rachel Maddow's Drift, a book describing the balance of power between America's politicians and the military, and pages from her Suits script. On her return trip to Los Angeles to live with Trevor, Megan realized that her future in Hollywood was bleak. In the world of paparazzi, parties, and producers, she was still unknown and excluded. Trevor faced the same fate. He was a good man, unrecognized and unknown, going nowhere. In Hollywood, they would neither be famous nor rich. Impatient, she began to chase an achievable dream. There is Megan before fame and Megan after fame, summed up Pretty, glancing through a photograph album. Unapologetically, Megan started canceling lunches with her old Los Angeles friend at the last moment, explaining how she feared that she would be recognized. Pretty felt a new coolness. The tone of her voice, her mannerisms, the way she laughed, didn't seem real to me anymore. Her time became increasingly important. When she was in town, she'd want you to drop everything to see her. If I was busy, it would be, "Why don't you want to see me? I'm here, let's hang out." On other occasions, she refused Pretty's suggestions to meet for lunch. Pretty felt awkward. It was like a light switched off. We began to talk less. I felt if I questioned her behavior, I'd be left on the outside. Fearful for their friendship, Pretty preferred not to know the truth. Megan had changed. She had become sharp, clear, and even cruel. More than ever, Her emotions were concealed. Trevor noticed his wife's transformation. During holidays together in New Zealand and Vietnam, his ostensible complaint was serious food poisoning after agreeing with Megan's suggestion that they try the local food. There was a more serious problem. The holiday was a curtain raiser to a critical discussion. At 31, under pressure from Trevor, Megan was thinking of children. He wanted them. She did not. With her career breakthrough, motherhood was impractical. Instead, she searched for a dog, as she wrote, to keep me company in Toronto. In December 2012, she headed for Spot Rescue, a pet adoption agency in Los Angeles offering rescued dogs. She chose Bogart, a 6-year-old yellow Labrador mix. But there was a problem. The same dog had been chosen by someone else. To be her competitor, Megan recruited Pretty and other friends to bombard the agency in an email chain in her support. The dog, wrote Megan, was guaranteed happiness in the Suits family. I felt that she was playing the Suits card, recalled Pretty, to try to get what she wanted. I felt she had developed a sense of entitlement because she was on the show. It left a sour taste in my mouth. Several days later, Megan recorded her success on Instagram, posting a photo of herself holding Bogart. She thanked the American daytime TV talk show host Ellen DeGeneres for sending her to the agency. You told me to adopt this sweet pup yesterday, and I'm so happy I did. Thanks a million. Dropping names on Instagram, Megan realized, boosted her importance. On February 2013, in successive Instagram posts, Bogart was anointed by Megan as a social media star showered with love. This was noticed by the royal biographer Sally Biddle Smith. Her son David had bought Bogart's brother Puppy at the same time. Megan emailed David to organize a reunion of the puppies on Malibu Beach. Reunited for the first time, Megan wrote on Instagram with an attached video of the dogs romping together for an hour. They were beyond happy. Hashtag puppy love, hashtag Bogart, hashtag rescue pup. Oh my god, how sweet. 1 month after the dog's beach party, Megan was in Toronto, apparently more in love with Bogart than Trevor. Her dog was a perfect conversation starter when she walked through the nearby Trinity Bellwoods Park. Watch Suits tonight, ... So proud of my amazing wife, Trevor posted on 24th January 2013, and then went on to the Oscars in Los Angeles without Megan. Omen Scobie, Megan's self-styled spokesman, would interpret that as a snub. Scobie is an unusual journalist. Critics have highlighted that his face changed after working in Japan for US Weekly, and Richard Eden in the Daily Mail suggested that his age has also varied. Some would say that as the royal editor for Harper's Bazaar, the Anglo-Iranian is a propagandist. Employed by Heat magazine, he became friends with Dan Wakeford, who would become the editor of People magazine in 2019. He is treated by some media as the spokesman for Meghan and Harry. According to Scobie, Meghan had always mentioned her dream to go to the Oscars, especially as a star. In reality, she refused to join her husband. Trevor knew she was spending every night in bars, supposedly to get work. Living apart had made them incompatible. Living the dream of Suits' success, she decided that Trevor's demand that they have children did not match her ambitions. She told friends in Toronto that she did not want children with him. His charm had worn thin. His expectations from their relationship were unacceptable. No one could live with her, except on her terms. Some who knew Trevor were not surprised by her decision. They cast him as a brash, acquired taste. Often he acted with self-importance. She had learned a lot from him, and his financial support had been invaluable. But there was nothing more to absorb, nothing more to gain. He had been an opportunity, a starter marriage. He was no longer her family, or the latest family she no longer had. The cast of Suits was her new family. Importantly, in the third series of Suits, her fee was increased to $75,000 per episode, and the run was increased to 16 episodes. Her total annual income would be £1.2 million. For the first time, there was the prospect of residuals. Money gave her the right to change her mind and do what she wanted and went. With her money, she felt there was no duty or obligation to anyone but herself. In hindsight, her marriage seemed to be transactional. A FedEx envelope delivered to Trevor's home was a bombshell. Inside was Megan's diamond engagement ring and her wedding ring. There was no note. The end of the marriage in spring 2013 came totally out of the blue, observed a friend. Trevor was left feeling that he was a piece of something stuck to the bottom of her shoe. Searching for explanations, some suspected that Megan was having an affair with an actor on Suits. Perhaps Trevor was having one too in Los Angeles? Nothing emerged to contradict one truth. Totally unsentimental about their 8-year relationship, Megan had decided to move on. We didn't see each other and we had drifted apart, Megan explained to a friend. She knew what she wanted and understood who she was. Abby Wathan, an actress, recalled meeting Megan about that time. I was destroyed by my own divorce, said the actress, but she was empowered. By taking back total control of her life, she would do with men what men had previously done to women. Eggleston was the past, and irrelevant. Megan called Pretty to announce that her 15-month marriage was over. I don't believe she gave him enough of an opportunity, said Pretty, still shocked by events 5 years later. I think there was an element of out of sight, out of mind for Megan. The way she handled it, Trevor definitely had the rug pulled out from under him. He was hurt. Splitting from Trevor, Pretty realized, showed that Megan was calculating, very calculating, in the way she handled people and relationships. She's very strategic in the way she cultivated circles of friends. Once she decides you're not part of her life, she can be very cold. It's this shutdown mechanism she has. There's nothing to negotiate. She made her decision, and that's it. After reflection, Pretty called Megan, but the shutters had fallen. She wouldn't confide in me. It was obvious to me she wasn't the friend I'd grown up with anymore. She had a new circle of friends. Pretty was shaken. The end of our friendship was like a death. I mourned it for quite a while. Looking for solace, Trevor called Thomas Markle. Megan, he discovered, had not told her father the news. Both men were surprised. I explained to Trevor that Megan's real love was being an actor, probably more so than anything else. You marry the business. I keep telling people that. I married the business. Megan married the business. That ruins a lot of your relationships. I think what she did was dedicate herself to her show. Thomas did not tell Trevor a more hurtful truth. Megan has outgrown you just as she outgrew me. Thomas called Doria. It hurt that she already knew. Trevor was mean to her, said Doria without further explanation. He did bad things. Thomas was puzzled. Megan, he thought, had possibly invented something, or he had misjudged Trevor. The Eggleston family was less sanguine. Devastated by Megan's betrayal of their son and themselves, Leslie Eggleston was particularly hurt. Megan's cold-heartedness left both of them deeply unhappy. Their hurt was compounded after Megan posted her photos of herself on 8th April at an ice hockey match at the Air Canada Centre. She was watching Michael Del Zotto, a Canadian ice hockey star 9 years younger than herself. Her affections for Del Zotto, she wrote, were the best. On 22nd April, she posted more photos of herself. watching Del Zotto play at Madison Square Garden in New York. Both would deny a relationship. Leslie Eggleston was not convinced. In their close-knit world, she said, daughters-in-law are not unfaithful. The Egglestons blamed Trevor's mistake to marry a girl from a broken family without a common background and no sense of loyalty towards their new family. Although Trevor insisted invitations to explain, he did tell a friend that domestic life with Megan bore no relationship to the demure young woman who fluttered her eyelids on TV screens. Marrying a mercurial, dramatic, shouty, and difficult actress who demanded a role in his films had been a challenge. In retaliation, Megan's friends portrayed Trevor as envious and resentful of her success in Suits. Until then, Trevor had enjoyed Megan's dependence on him. Therefore, speculated Omid Scobie, repeating what her friends had said, Trevor had refused to support her acting career. She was not invited to the Oscars because he didn't want to share the spotlight. Moving swiftly to end the marriage, Megan filed for divorce on 7th August 2013, citing irreconcilable differences. 2 weeks later, the papers were served on Trevor. Neither hired a lawyer to negotiate their agreement to divorce. They parted without any financial arrangement. The case was finalized on 7th March 2014. Megan kept Bogart. In the months after the divorce, a different Trevor emerged. For some months, he dated Charlotte McKinney, a blonde men's health model. Eventually, he married Tracy Curlin, the daughter of a billionaire. He would frequently be seen darting around Los Angeles in a particularly flashy Porsche. Sinking with the cream, insiders carped about a man whose fame was his association with Megan. Megan showed no sign of remorse about Trevor's inevitably hurt feelings. At 32, she was free of all the baggage of her parents, marriage, and hustling in Hollywood. 2 years later, she would describe her next step. You create the identity you want for yourself, just as my ancestors did when they were given their freedom. She added, I dreamed pretty big, but truly I had no idea my life could be so awesome. I am the luckiest girl in the world, without question. On reflection, some decided that Megan was reinventing herself. I love my character, Megan told Larry King in a TV interview broadcast on a digital channel to promote the 3rd season of Suits. Rachel Zane is ambitious and sassy. Unintentionally, Aaron Korsh, the series creator, was remolding the actress's own character. I see Rachel and Megan as such a good friend. I root for her. I'm almost like a fan. Rachel is like the ultimate best friend who has a closet that I always borrow things from in my personal life. As she said later, ambition was what she and Rachel Zane had in common. I'm part of the Horse and Pony show this year, she wrote in her anonymous blog about American Network's launch of Suits to prospective advertisers in New York. They'll roll out the red carpet in a major way because they want me on show. The talent, they call us. Clearly excited by her introduction to first-class flights, chauffeurs, and luxury hotels, she continued, This is part of the job and it's fucking awesome. If you are pursuing television, then realize that you have already sold out and take your big fancy paycheck because you can now. Flashing those pearly whites, veneers, and working the carpet with your sexy little body, Spanx, is part of the job description you jumped on board for when you signed on that dotted line. In her fantasy, the unknown actress cast herself as a celebrity coping with the chore of recognition and being pestered for photos. In reality, little had changed since she left school. She ached for fame and a new relationship. As part of the promotion for the cable network in July 2013, Megan and Patrick J. Adams, alias Mike Ross in Suits, were interviewed by Larry King in a small dark room in a cheap New York hotel. Megan looked unusually unattractive with greasy hair, rumpled clothes, and peaky eyes. Throughout the soft interview, she gazed adoringly at Adams. While Adams described his character as a cross between Mark Zuckerberg and Steve Jobs, Megan edged closer to her fellow actor. Asking a direct question, Adams emphatically denied to King that he and Megan had a sexual relationship. King clearly disbelieved Adams. Megan smiled. Later that year, she arrived in Europe with a mission.